This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You know, our three best shooters were 0 for 13. And oftentimes in these NBA games now, that's the deal. You don't have to look anywhere else. We made mistakes, they made mistakes, but we competed the whole night, and I was really pleased with that. I actually feel pretty good. When you have to make shots, we didn't. And they had that little barrage there where they made 6 in a row, and that was the game.
What is up, Spurs Nation? Cállate la boca, shut up, because you are listening to a Bucking Spurs podcast brought to you by buckingspurs.com and the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. I'm Robert Trejo Jr., your host of ABSP. Like the great GOAT, Coach Pop, would say, we're all about players who are over themselves and are about team success, as are we here at ABSP. So follow in the footsteps that the greatest big three to ever do it have laid down for us, otherwise known as the Spurs way. Be a true team player and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast jam on. Get me open and nail that game-winning jumper by down screening on your phone now. And just like the Spurs with 5 golden trophies in that trophy case, rate this podcast 5 golden stars. The beautiful game that we all know and love can only manifest itself by collective effort of sharing that rock. So don't be a pod hog and share this podcast episode to the rest of Spurs Nation. You can do that by following us on YouTube for more Spurs content like drive-through Spurs takes and Spurs tacos and more. Of course, you can share and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you want to make the first team all BSP, go ahead and bookmark buckingspurs.com on your web browser now, where you can show your support and visit our fan shop for Bucking Spurs hoodies, tees, laptop sleeves, iPhone cases, and more. So we're going to take a closer look at the fourth quarter versus the Mavericks. So I'm going to kind of dissect what was going down and what happened, how we got close at the end, how we lost it in the middle, and how we're pretty close in the beginning. Because when we came out of the third quarter, Rudy Gay had just hit back-to-back threes. And we had all this momentum going with us. We had cut it down to 5. The score was 74-79. We came out with Rudy, Patty, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan. Who was I think it was Murray. So we're playing there in the fourth quarter, right? We're down 5. We cut it to 3. Things are going good. And then Dallas calls a timeout. And then this is where everything flipped. This is where Kristaps Porzingis came out and pretty much did all he really did in this game. Came in this little stretch here. When we cut it to 3, that's when we really had to make our move. We really needed to get a stop and cut it, to tie it up or to go ahead and take the lead on the other side, because we're working all second half, right, on working on this lead, trying to come back and trying to really hold something and not just giving it back to Dallas, right? So, which is what we just did here, because we cut it to 3. KP comes out, hits a 3 ball, bang. We come down, nothing. They go back, Kristaps again, bang. Back-to-back threes to stretch the lead from 3 to 9 in the matter of, a minute and a half. So that's really where the game kind of got lost from us, right? And it's from those back-to-back threes from Kristaps. But DeMar comes down, he answers, right? He gets a bucket, and then he goes to the free throw line after that. Then Dallas comes down, and then Wright and I don't know who else from the Dallas Mavericks just comes down and just loses their minds. And they go on another back-to-back 3-ball run. And so now the lead was stretched out to 9. Now it's stretched out to 11 at this point. It's 94-83. And this game is about 3 minutes. In about 3 minutes, this game kind of just blew up right in front of our eyes. You know, that's 12 points-ish in about 3 minutes when we had cut it down to 3. We were almost there to kind of take this game back at this point, because I think in the second half we played in flashes where we were just better than them. You know, they rested Luka a lot. They didn't play Luka and Kristaps a lot together, which I think is smart on their end, because they're better when they're not on the floor together. They need to figure that out. But it was like worst case scenario, whatever could have happened. They came down and just kind of made it rain from the 3-point line. And that's when Pop decides to call timeout, right? And so we call timeout with about 7:45 left, right? And now this is where I want to kind of buckle into and get a little bit specific on the lineup, because, hey, we're getting what we want, Spurs Nation. We're seeing Derek White and DeJounte Murray on the floor together, right? They go with DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Trey Lyles, along with those two guys, and then Rudy subs in a little bit later. But it's 7:45 left in the fourth quarter, and we're starting to see these two guys play together. Why? Because what just happened? We just gave up so many buckets in so little time that it's like, oh, man, if we want to keep this game close, we need to get a couple of key stops, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to put our two best perimeter defenders out on the floor, our 2 point guards, and then let's see how that goes for us. Now, I don't think we can expect the world out of this lineup, because they haven't even really played all that much together. You know what I'm saying? So, but the one thing that we hope that we can count on is that they get stopped. So we come down, 7:45 minutes left. The first thing we do is go to DeMar DeRozan on offense, and he gets a tough bucket, right? And then coming down the other way on the first defensive possession, Derek White closes out hard, great closeout, he contests, I don't know, whoever hits this 3, puts a hand right in his face, and I think it was Bronson, and then boom, it just goes down. I mean, you can't ask for a better D than that. Then, you know, we go down there and we turn it over real quick. LaMarcus Aldridge, the ball fumbles out of someone's hands, turnover, they go down, get a bucket. Kristaps Porzingis tries to post up every now and then, and he really can't. There's one thing that I've seen is that everyone is dogging him for not posting up. Like, you see all these like old school guys on TNT, like Charles Barkley and Shaq. They're like, oh man, if he could just, you know, get on the block, he's a 7-footer, he's a unicorn, he's got to score, you know, 15 points from the block. And they're right, you know what I mean? Because players that can do that, like LeBron, KD, and Kawhi, are next level players because they can do it from all over the floor. But Kristaps, man, that guy cannot play with his back to the basket at all, doesn't know how to pass out of double teams. So he tries to post up DeMar posts him up, takes him all the way to the 3-point line. But the ball ends up just kind of sloppily gets whipped around the court, and they hit a wide open 3 on that. So they hit back-to-back 3s on us. We get a bucket, then a turnover. So it's not what we wanted, right, with this lineup on the floor, because the Spurs Nation, we're all here just hoping that these two guys figure it out on the floor, and, you know, or whatever the pieces are around them are enough to do well, because we want to see this work. We want to see these two guards play together and play together well, so we can see more of it, right? But, you know, we come down, next possession, Derek White shoots a 3, misses it, right? So then we come back, they miss a shot, we come back, Derek White takes another 3, right? Back-to-back 3s. I think this was a big moment. It was like, okay, so if these two guys are going to play together, who's going to be shooting the ball from the outside? And Derek White was like, all right, I'll do it, and give him credit. He's been shooting the ball pretty well. He misses these back-to-back 3s, you know, so that was really a missed opportunity where we could have kind of cut this lead down, right? Because at this point, we're down by 11 points, right? So so I don't know what it is, but we're down. We're trying to come back, right? So we come down, they miss another shot, and then, you know, Rudy turns it over, kind of tweaks his ankle or something, but stays in the game. Then here comes Luka, right? Because Luka was on the bench during all this. Again, like I said, they kind of split up KP and Luka in Dallas, which is smart. But here he comes, man, and that guy is just a beast, right? So, but if we reflect on this lineup of Murray and White on the floor together, they played 3 minutes, right? Because they kind of got let me see, Bryn came in for Murray at 4 minutes and 35 seconds left in the quarter, right? The score was 85-100 at that point. So those 3 minutes with that lineup that was in there lost that stretch 2-6, right? So they didn't do better than even Dallas could do. Then we couldn't even take on Kristaps, you know what I mean? And just a surrounding cast of Dallas Maverick players who are just hitting open shots. And after the game, post game, that's what Pop and DeMar, everyone said they hit shots, man. They did. They hit a lot of shots. And the Dallas Mavericks hit about probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threes in the quarter or something like that. So they definitely turned it on, and it hurt us, right? But the game wasn't over. So at this point, 4:35 left in the fourth quarter, Bryn Forbes comes in for Murray, and we have our playoff lineup that did very well last year with LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan, Bryn Forbes, and Derek White. So things start to click a little bit more. We can see that this lineup is familiar with each other. They play well together. Forbes comes down, misses a shot, man. Forbes has just been off, and there's a lot of chatter out there about, should Forbes sit? Should Forbes still start? I mean, he earned that spot, and I agree with that, but he's not performing right now well enough. He's not shooting the ball well enough. He defends at a decent level. You know that his effort is through the roof, but at the end, what are the results? I think that his size kind of hurts him there, but he makes it up when he's shooting lights out. See, that's when you can keep Bryn Forbes on the floor, is because, yeah, he might get scored on, 3 out of the 7 plays that get run in the next 5 minutes, but he's going to come down. He's going to hit 3 or 4 threes, in the next 5, 6, 7 plays, right? So when he's not doing that, he kind of hurts you. But when we needed a bucket, man, we had gone already probably around 2 or 3 minutes without getting a bucket. And DeMar DeRozan comes out, and he gets one to drop. So finally, it's 87-102. A goaltending call goes our way. White finally hits a 3, cuts it to 10 at this point with 1 minute and 51 seconds left to go in the ball game. Forbes, tough, ferocious attitude, steps it up here in this last minute and 51 seconds. Because I think we're all kind of like, oh my God, Bryn Forbes, what happened on that last shot, 3-point attempt, coming down on the last play of the game. But let's not forget and take a closer look at the film and see everything that Bryn Forbes did leading up to that moment. Forbes guarded Brunson or whoever it was 94 feet, picked him up as soon as he caught the ball in off the baseline on the other end, made him dribble the ball all the way down, made him turn him once or twice, and actually forced the turnover, right? Made the guy dribble off his leg, right? So boom, so great, things are going our way. We caused a turnover. Now we got to come back and get a bucket, right? So we think we miss one. We come back, we get another turnover, and then Bryn Forbes comes down and gets a 3-point the hard way, right? The old school 3-pointer and one. He just catches, rips baseline, gets the and one to go, and he hits the free throw, right? So Bryn Forbes was kind of bringing us back here in the moment. And Luka, ends up getting fouled with about 47 seconds left to go in the game. It's a 7-point game at this point. Luka gets fouled, goes to the free throw line, and misses both of them. So he had a chance to stretch it from 7 to 9, which kind of would have been the nail in the coffin, but he goes up to the line and misses both of them. That kind of shows a little bit of maturity that he still has left to grow with Luka, because he should have iced those free throws, especially being the point guard in that team, being the leader, being an MVP. You got to knock those free throws down. So he misses them, gives us just a little bit of life, right? So Rudy comes down and then bang, hits a 3, right? So now we cut it down to 5. It's a 5-point game at this point. They come down. We trap once, nothing. We trap twice, nothing. So we're playing for the possession, right? There's about 37 seconds left. There's about a 13 second differential from the game clock and the shot clock. And we're going to play for this last possession to see if we can cut it from 5 to 2 or 3, play the foul game. You never know what's going to happen from here. But we trap nothing. White ends up caught on whoever it is that takes the drive to the basket and makes a great contest, man, without fouling. Just goes up, just puts his hand in the air and makes the guy take a tough shot. And then the rebound comes off. And it comes off to Bryn Forbes. There's about 12 seconds left on the clock, 12.6 seconds left on the clock to be exact. And you know, I'm first in line at the Bryn Forbes Bank. You know, I'm there applying for my small business loan at the Bank of Forbes, right? I'm a believer in Bryn, but he straight up choked on this last possession. 12 seconds left. We're down by 4. So we still need the possession back. We need to score 2 or 3 and foul. And if Bryn would have just taken it to the rim, got fouled, or even if he would have taken a transition 3-pointer and missed it, I would have been okay with it. But Bryn dribbles up, you know, when he has numbers. It's a 1-on-1 situation, a 2-on-1, whatever it was, and just pulls the ball out and kind of just waits for someone else to come down the floor, and like precious seconds are fading away, and you know, he ends up handing it off to Derek White, who takes like a bullshit 3-pointer, and then they get the rebound. There's still about 4 seconds left, but you know, they just let him dribble it out, and that's game time, right? So the fourth quarter really came down to, okay, we let him go on a crazy run in mid-third quarter on the lineup that we're supposed to have our best defense out there. So I'm telling you, man, the coaching staff knows and the players know that if that lineup isn't playing together, I'm sure it's for a reason. Maybe they can't score. Maybe with the other people that are around them, if they don't have the right mix, that game, it's just not going to work offensively. You know, defensively, we can get stops, but we need to put the ball in the hole. And if we're relying on LaMarcus and DeMar to put the ball in the hole when we have Murray and White on the floor together, and they're not doing that, our two guys aren't doing that, well, then who's going to score? You know, then we're asking Rudy Gay or Patty Mills or Trey Lyles or Marco Bellinelli to come in and just hit shots, you know, when we should be going to our main two guys. You know, coming off a great win versus Memphis where we went to LaMarcus. LaMarcus was unconscious, dropped a 40-piece on him. And we come off of a game like that. Coming into a TNT game, bro. Like, that's the thing. This game was on TNT. And to end it the way we did, and I'm not just talking about the last play with Bryn Forbes. I'm talking about the whole fourth quarter, the way we kind of just let that slip away from us. And we let a Dallas Mavericks team without Luka beat us on the floor, and we let a Dallas Mavericks team with Luka beat us on the floor. You know, so it was a hard fourth quarter to watch, even though there was a couple little bright spots where we're like, okay, we're coming back, but really not. Where was LaMarcus Aldridge? Where was LaMarcus Aldridge in all of this? Where was DeMar DeRozan? Actually, no, I'm not gonna say that about DeMar DeRozan. Whenever we needed a bucket, he was there and he got it. You know what I mean? So DeMar came up big for us, and he's been playing his tail off, and he's our leading scorer, and we all know that he's putting in the effort, and he's not letting any of this outside drama noise that we hear about trades and all this stuff affect his play, because at the end of the day, he still wants to probably get a max contract, so he's got to perform like a max player, and he's doing a hell of a job doing that for us right now. But is it enough? Is it the style? What's going on? Why aren't we winning? But definitely in this fourth quarter with LaMarcus not stepping up, Derek White, he went 1 for 3 in the last 7 minutes from the 3-point line. You know, Bryn went 0 for 2 from the 3-point line. You know, we needed to hit shots and we didn't. And that's what Pop and everyone kind of boiled this game down to, was down the stretch they hit shots and we didn't. And I don't think it's just that. They hit tough shots. We defended their ass off, and most of their shots were contested with a hand in their face, but the important ones, the ones that stretched the gaps, were showing a lot of our lack of consistency on that end, right? So we just, you know, we let this one slip away, and it was a good opportunity for us to not only beat our interstate rival, the Dallas Mavericks, and show that, hey, we're still, you know, because they're doing great. You know, kudos to the Dallas Mavericks and Luka. I love Luka. He's a hell of a player. That's my type of point guard right there. Pass first point guard, but we're here sitting like, hey man, we got this young core of great talent. We have hey, you have Luka and KP, great man, but hey, we have DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge who have been doing this for 8, 9, 10, 11 years, and we have guys like Lonnie Walker, Murray, White, you know what I mean? Like all these guys that should be getting it done on the night-to-night basis, not kind of coming through for us, even though Luka, second-year player, is given the ultimate green light and is taking it in strides. We're here waiting to see, okay, can Lonnie do that for us, or who's going to do that for us? Because we're in the same position. We're in a transition.
Hey everybody, want to let you know about the Green and Bold podcast, a podcast dedicated to news, insights, and opinions about the Oakland A's. My name's Joe Stiglich. I covered the A's for about a decade, first in newspapers, then in the TV world. Looking forward to delivering you all kinds of thoughts about the A's.
And I'm David Feldman, longtime A's historian, A's media person, and we're going to get you into everything you need to know about Oakland A's baseball.
So head to bigheadsmedia.com or iTunes or Spotify or anywhere that you get your podcasts and listen to the Green and Bold podcast.
Right, but there's one person I want to talk about before we go, and that's Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl is probably the X factor right now on our team. He plays limited minutes, but when he's on the floor, the game changes. Not only on the defensive end, where he's proven to be a hell of a shot blocker, he changes the game when he's in there. A lot of players do not want to go in there and try to shoot over Jakob. I mean, he's been swatting the who's who of the NBA so far this season. I mean, he's been sending James Harden stuff out there. He's been sending Kawhi stuff out there. He's done it all season long. But what he's been able to do on the offensive end is really where I think, man, we're better with him at the 5. We need Jakob in the game because Jakob is starting to do a few things offensively that he hasn't done before, and that's push the break. That's the main one, is that he's catching the rebound. And quickly, instead of looking to outlet, he looks in front of him. Puts the ball down, and takes at least 1-2 dribbles up the floor, and just immediately sends that transition into a race car track, right? Where now we can really have all of our guards running the wing. Whoever is up there, if it's Lonnie or DJ, or if it's Bryn, whoever it is, can really take off now. Because Jakob is able to make a smart play off the dribble, make a pass, right? So he's getting the ball, he's dribbling it up court, and he's finding the right guy, and he's not turning it over. He's making the right read, right? So as a 5-man, he's showing us that he can evolve, and he's scoring better around the rim. He's taking his little hook shots. He's not afraid to score. So on the offensive end, he's not a liability. I think he's going to catch you slipping. If you're kind of taking him as an offensive liability, he's going to put the ball in the hole. He's shown us that we're a hell of a better defensive team when he's on the floor, and I think he's actually our X factor right now moving forward. We have all these questions. Is Lonnie going to play more? I think coming off the injury where he kind of bumped knees or whatever it was, his limits have kind of swirled back downwards and trending that way. And I think just in time, he's going to kind of build those minutes back up. But we're obviously better with Lonnie on the floor. But, can he take Bryn's spot? Can he take anyone's starting spot to help us in the area where we need help? And that's in the beginning of the game, in the beginning of the third quarter. That starting lineup that kind of digs us a hole all season long so far. We need to change it up. So, there's a lot of questions. Are we going to start Derek or Murray in the playoffs? Will it switch? Will it matter? You know what I mean? Will it depend on the matchup? Will we start Murray against Denver, but if we end up playing Utah, are we going to start both of those guys to play to guard Mitchell and Conley? You know what I mean? So it just really depends on what the matchup is. I don't know. There's so many questions, but the main question is who's going to step up? Our lineups gonna provide and yield results and wins, because it's getting hard out here for a Spurs fan. We all know that. And like I said in my last pod, it's not time to panic. We're still just a few games out of the 7th spot. The Spurs are very capable of going on a run, at some point in the season. So it's not time to panic. But this is just a little dive into, how the 4th quarter went down against the Mavericks, and where we showed strengths and where we showed, lack of leadership or responsibility or accountability. We just kind of didn't come through against the Mavs. And you know what? That seems to be like the case more often than not, even though I want to say overall the game against the Mavs wasn't too bad because, you know, we defensively we held them to a pretty good number, but at the same time we're playing against, you know, a team that just got Luka back off of injury, who's not playing their best players together at the same time that much because they haven't really figured it out. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're going up against, you know, we saw what happens when the Clippers come to town and they whoop us. Right? You know, we go to Memphis and we finally, you know, take care of business like we should. You know, then we come back out. We got a national televised game. We don't have many of those. It would be great for us to showcase something, a little something to the rest of the NBA. Let them know, like, hey, yeah, we're still good. But I think for anyone who's outside of the Spurs Nation who saw that game is probably thinking, man, the Spurs are in trouble. Man, what are the Spurs going to do? You know, the TNT guys, you know, they couldn't care about us. It's all about Luka Mania right now, and well-deserved. But are we going to get it together and move up in this playoff race? Or are we just going to stay in the 9th or 10th spot? And are we going to make trades? There's so many questions moving forward. But shout out to Jakob for holding it down. I think you know, overall, Patty has been leading us. I think we're all doing what we can. I don't think anyone in that locker room is there sitting like, oh, no, I'm all pissed off or this and that. No, I think it's just literally we just cannot figure it out right now. It comes down to that. Where are we lacking in energy? Where are we lacking in minutes? Is Keldon Johnson going to get some NBA minutes and runtime? Because if you go see that kid play, he's just always like, let's go, and one. He's pumping his guys up, giving that energy from the get-go every single play, and you know he's shooting a crazy field goal percentage right now from the floor because a lot of his baskets are coming off turnovers or transition, or you know rarely does he ever get a play called for him on the offensive end, but he finds all these other ways to impact the game. And for me, it's like, okay, the Spurs need that, so let's call him up, let's give him some run here, maybe if not before the All-Star break, maybe after the All-Star break, to show, hey, can he help us or not? You know, is Lonnie going to play a little bit more? We'll see. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. This is Bucking Spurs Podcast. Make sure to go and subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Podcast. Make sure to share this pod to the rest of Spurs Nation. Don't be a pod hog, right? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can go to buckingspurs.com and you'll find all of our content there, along with our fan shop where you can get some cool merch and stuff like that. Appreciate shout out to Phil for wearing my Bucking Spurs t-shirt to the Clipper game the other day. Phil Boo on Instagram. Make sure to check him out. Lifelong Spurs fan there. He's been on the show a few times. We'll catch you on the next episode, Spurs Nation. Go Spurs, go.
Hey, this is Will and Dave from the Read Option Podcast.
Your go-to source for Pac-12 football. No matter your team in the conference, we're going to cover them.
Find us and other great podcasts on bigheadsmedia.com or anywhere you can find great podcasts.